The content in this course covers 2 key principles and 6 key positions. The first key principle is the kinetic chain. It relates to hitting hard and is how you'll generate racket head speed on your serve. If you've played a lot of throwing sports growing up, you probably are already naturally doing this. If you haven't, or as a review, the first drill we're going to do together is to work on the kinetic chain. You're going to need a few balls and some open space, but all we're going to do is simply learn how to throw the ball in a manner that's representative of the serve. So, we're also going to use the stance that we're going to use for our actual serve. My front foot is tilted forward off to the net post. My back foot is parallel with the baseline, shoulder width back from the instep of my front foot. I'm going to start with my weight on my front foot and my arms loose and hanging. Initially, coil your body in. Feel your knee, hip, and shoulder turn in, almost to where your opponent could see your back. You're going to bring the ball back with your knuckles facing up and your palm facing down. From here, you'll start bringing the ball to your ear. This is going to bend your elbow. Once the ball gets towards your ear, you want to feel ground reaction force, push off and uncoil each link into the next till finally the elbow is launched forward and up into the ball. One thing to keep in mind is to be very loose while doing this. Remember, racket head speed is not all about muscle. So let's do it again together. Arms loose, weight on my front foot, coil the knee, hip, and shoulder in, arm back with the knuckles up, bring the ball to your ear, and then uncoil the links. One thing to note is how the opposite side of my body starts to break before the arm comes through. This helps the racket accelerate even faster. Okay, let's review. Be sure to keep these checkpoints in mind while performing your throwing exercise. Remember to use the same stance that we're going to be used while you're serving. Your front foot should be angled towards the net post, and your back foot should be parallel with the baseline, shoulder width apart from your front foot. Next, turn your knee, hip, and shoulder in. Coil the body segments and bring your arm back. When you bring your arm back, keep your knuckles facing up and your palm facing down. As you bring the ball towards your ear, your elbow will bend. As your elbow completes its bend, start to uncoil the body segments, each one into the next, until finally the elbow is thrown forward. Remember, the opposite side of your body should stop, working as a reactive brake. Before we go on to our other key principle in the 6 key positions, let's go over the grip. To find your grip on the serve, you're going to use 2 dots on the back of your hand. One on the bottom knuckle of your pointer finger, and the other dot is kind of where your hand connects with your wrist, just above that bone there. All you have to do is put these 2 dots on the correct side of your racket, that side being the number 2 side of the racket. If you look at the bottom of your racket, they all have 8 sides or an octagon. If you start numbering from the top edge, that would be number 1, and this is number 2. If I put these 2 dots on the number 2 side of the racket, you'll notice that puts the hand on the racket at an angle. Not from this knuckle to this knuckle, but angled. This grip's also called the continental grip. And it's a grip that I very seldom see used naturally. Okay, briefly we're going to go over our 6 key positions and our other key principle. But first, let's do a drill and spend some time on the ball toss. Okay, for this drill, stand just behind the baseline and find some sort of target to put just in front and to the right. Just in front and to the right because that is also where contact with your serve should be. So I'm going to stand like I'm serving, and I'm going to hold the ball with my fingertips. Initially, coil your body in, and you'll feel how that brings your arm back almost parallel with the baseline. From here, arc your arm out in front and push the ball forward and to the right. I like to keep a slight flex in my arm and feel like I'm going from slightly flexed to straight. Again, like I'm pushing the ball in the air. At the top of the release, simply open your hand and let the ball come out. The other thing to keep in mind is the toss height. How high does the toss height have to be? Well, more often than not, I see players tossing too high. The racket is only slightly out of your outstretched hand, and you're not getting any higher than that anyway. So ideally, just throw just to the apex or slightly above, but be careful of throwing the ball too high. Spend a few minutes working on your ball toss and seeing if you can hit your target. It's not as easy as you'd think. Okay, let's review. Remember, the grip for the serve is the continental grip, where the base knuckle of the index finger and the other dot just above your wrist is on the number 2 side of the racket. This angles your hand on the racket. When tossing the ball, hold the ball with the tips of your fingers. Bring the tossing arm back almost parallel with the baseline and then arc the ball forward. Try having a slight bend in your arm and going from slightly bent to straight, so you have the feeling of pushing the ball in the air. Remember, only toss as high as you need to.